Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 304. 304. My name is Leonard Brackett, and I'll be your host for the moment. And we're about to follow the same process and procedures that we do on this particular platform, which is to say, I will offer a short word of prayer, after which I'll read a short verse from the Bible. We'll probably do some public announcements, and then we'll get into the matter of the night. Again, I'll just go ahead and bow my head since we're running a few minutes off schedule, and I'll just say a short prayer. Divine loving Father, as we come before thy presence once more, we pray that thou mayst accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to thee for having given us the privilege of life in the first place, and secondly, for the opportunity to still be around our family members, friends, and loved ones in fairly good health. We pray that thou mayst bless our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, those who have, and that thou mayst bless our other family members, each and every one of them. Thou knowest them by name and number. Thou knowest our heart, our desires, even our most secret thoughts. We pray that the word of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable before thy divine presence, now and always. Please continue to bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership. We pray that thou mayst continue to bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, and that thou would help us through these travails that we are enduring. Please bless those people who are in harm's way, in war zones, in earthquakes, in volcano areas. Please bless also those who are in tornadoes and floods and all manner of pestilence and man-made disasters as well on the face of this earth, loving Father. Please provide for those who have need of food and clothes and shelter. Please be merciful unto them as well, for we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for affording me the privilege to be able to say that short prayer. And I'll read let's see where we'll take a verse from. One of these. I'm going to take one of these short verses, not too long, hopefully. Oh, no, most of these are long. Let me go back this way then. Maybe I can find something shorter. Most of these are long, so I'll just go ahead probably and read one or two of them. Okay. I'll read Daniel, from the book of Daniel, chapter 4, and starting at verse 1. And it reads as follows. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. Verse 2, I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God had worked forward to me. And that is the end of the reading for tonight. So we can see that in the Bible, at that particular section, even the great emperor and king who thought that he was the king of the world at that time confessed that there is a God and that he was happy that the good Lord had blessed him to be king and to reign over all those people to whom he was giving salutations. I'll just make a little imploration to those of you who drive, especially in Belize, but just about anywhere where you have the occasion to be behind the wheels, the steering wheel of a vehicle, whether it's a small vehicle, big vehicle, or even those who ride your bicycles. Please be cautious, be tentative, be conscientious of others. Because there have been occasions not only when cars and other vehicles knock people down or crash into each other and kill people, there have been occasions where people on bicycles ride so, recklessly that they knock kids over, elderly who can't get out their way quick enough, and even people who can get out their way but who are distracted or maybe have their back turned to them and they just ride over them and they keep moving. Unfortunately, we've been having too many accidents in Belize. All roads in Belize are not built like the roads here in the United States of America. And as a result, we cannot be driving as if we were on main highways out there where you can drive excess amount of speed compared to our roads. But everybody wants to get from where they're going, where they're leaving from, and get to where they want to go in a hurry. And are very disdainful and disrespectful and disregarding the health and well-being of others. We cannot be of that type of mindset because, how would we like, for example, to other people be behaving like that towards our family members? We are in a vehicle and we are driving and we feel comfortable. But we have other relatives and family members who are walking, others who are driving. And if those who are driving are under the influence of liquor or drugs or whatever, or just maybe they didn't sleep enough the night before, or whatever reasons, or just don't have any consideration for anybody else. In fact, some of them don't respect themselves, not just anybody else. It's unfortunate. And somehow or another, those of us who drive have to slow it down and be a bit more conscientious because it is not a pretty picture out there with all the mayhem that's going on. So I'd just like to implore that be cautious. You can't be in such a hurry to want to get to where you go, and instead of getting where you're trying to go, you end up in a hospital or put other people there, or you crash your vehicle and then you don't have the vehicle to continue your journey. Just be cautious and conscientious. Thank you very much. And I see Mr. Wade is in the background here, so let me just take a couple of seconds and let me bring him out. Good evening, Mr. Wade.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Good evening.
My right-hand panelist.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much. Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence tonight. I don't see Greg or anyone else in the background yet, so I'll just moving ahead in the interest of time, no?
Okay.
I did the prayer and I did the reading already, and I did the public announcement, and I was about to launch. So
Sure. Go right ahead.
thank you very much, sir. Okay, so let me just uh, uh, Mr. Wade.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
wait,
You're already in.
yes, sir. But I just wanted to. I just remember too that I have the other people who I need to launch the other thing on. So I was going to
Okay.
offer if you'd like to take a couple of minutes to just verbalize whatever is on your mind, your concerns right now, to give me a couple of minutes.
Sure. Not a problem. Not a
Thank you very
problem.
much, sir.
It's,
I was about to launch, but I forgot that
it's
I
always
didn't.
a pleasure to sit here and your company here, Leonard. Again, welcome to our 304 edition of
The
our
pleasure is also mine, Mr. Will.
Belizean Affairs show. I was earlier having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we solved it, and we don't know if it's man-made or whoever made, but we solved that problem. But um, it's always a pleasure to sit here and have discourse and say what's is on our mind, and how we see things, and we offer solutions, and we talk about things that are happening, because some we predict, because we see it coming. And most of the things we talk about, are some had come to pass, and some are slowly showing its ugly face. Things that we have talked about and have predicted
Okay.
what's going to happen, and we see it happening. Um, I observed over the weekend there were some village council elections. Um, I've seen some disturbing images again of interference, political interference, PUP interference, uh, buying of votes by the People's United Party. At least that's the video that is going around. But as always, they will deny it. They will say, well, it wasn't the minister in that vehicle, and it wasn't the public vehicle, and he wasn't buying votes. And what you see passing was just a piece of paper, or maybe some weed, or some drugs, or maybe some food. So you see the people in that village attacking that government vehicle, getting whatever they were promised, but they will all deny it. As always, they will spin that and say, well, it's not so. But it's up to the people to decide and to see. Like I have always been saying publicly, the nasty things that happen in election. I've always said it publicly and in meetings that the election and boundaries department are part and parcel, because they can do better. They could null and void an election that we are saying that it's not been run fairly. But are they going to do that? Hell no, they're not going to do that, because they have bosses. The election and boundaries officials have bosses, and they have people who put them in certain areas to do certain things and to carry out certain agendas for them, for the ruling party. We see time and time. I'm stressing on this because, again, the last time on a meeting, I were vented in that meeting, and I called them out for buying votes and the nasty things they do, and not abiding by the laws, the rules of the election and boundaries, right? I said it publicly, and they say, well, we need evidence. What the hell kind of other evidence they want to see? Right? You know, we it's out there in the public domain. They, we have people venting about their names were taken off, or they don't know how they were transferred from one town to another, or one village to another, or one place to another. They have no idea, but it happens anyway. And you have the election and budget bodies come around, and they justify that, right? They put it out here, they justify it neatly. So that person is crazy. Something is mentally wrong with that person. Something is wrong with that person who come and says publicly on the media and say, I did not ask for a transfer. I did not go in and transfer my vote, but it's not here. Where I used to vote, it's not here. How it happened, right? The election and boundaries come and they justify that. So that person that came out there and finished, that person is supposed to be mad. That person is not in their right thinking mind. Well, it's so sad to see that the length that this two-party system will go just to win an election. Whether it's a village council election, whether it's a town council, whether it's a city council, whether it's a general election. We see time and time and time again how they do it. We see the buying, literally paying people, literally paying for them to get that vote from that individual. We see them leading people into the polling station, leading and showing them where to put that X. We see it play out, but yet it's not true. It doesn't happen, and the media is lying, and people are lying, and wow. And yet you have the OAS, the people at Cape that comes to oversee our free, democratic, and fair election. Because we have people from over the world come and what do they say? Yeah, Belize. We just went to Belize and we witnessed a free and fair and democratic election. What the hell is wrong with that picture? When we know in this country that it's not fair and it's not free because the two-party system pays for their vote. So it's not free and it's not democratic, right? It's not. But that is what we got so far. When will these kinds of shenanigans and these kinds of nasty situations stop? We see the intimidation, like right now in the village council's election. And right here, I would like to say a big thank you to all those independent slates, whether they made it or did not make it. I want to congratulate all of them just to put their name as an independent thinker, just to put their name up. Because what happened in this country, if you go contrary to the PUP when they are in power, you are in trouble. If you go contrary to the UDP when they're in power, you are in trouble. And once they know whatever little goodies and hands out they're giving you, they will stop that. Some even get fired. Fired! Well, you know, why I say that? Because I see it happen. And you know, my experience, you know, I had a couple of individuals that had promised to go and vouch for me when I went to swear in as a candidate. On last minute, a couple of them called and say, Mr. Wade, you know, I can't go sign for you anymore because you know you needed that sixth person. I mean, that sixth person to go and sign. So because you know what? I get job from the PUP, you know. I get job from there. And if they see me, they go upstairs, they go or go swear, go sign for you. I know I get no more job. That's to show you, and I'm saying this truth, right? I can't sign for you again because I just remember that I get job from the government. And they don't give me no more job if they know I gonna sign for you as an independent candidate. So I can't. It's a good thing, you know, I've always have backup plans. So that didn't hurt me. That didn't hurt me. I've had extra to go and sign for me. Extra. So I'm just saying this. This is what these people do. They intimidate people in this country once they know that they're anti or they're going against their policies. Policies for no one there to contest these people, right? Because they are the big giants and they're the only person that can run this country. Sets of crooks, right? They all need to be held accountable. And I say this to say that I call on this government, this Belizean administration, and this prime minister. Pass unkak, man. Pass unkak. You promised when you were on opposition. Oh yeah, as we sit down the first 100 days, and then and gasoline too much of a high price, and well, give me the chance, and I will vote for me, and I will put the PUP in government, and I will bring down the price of gas. When he was in opposition, talking 7 years ago, 6 years ago, on his first, when he was in opposition. And unkak, don't worry, we will pass unkak. This guy is in his second term now. His second win. Is unkak pass? Has he bring down the price of gas? In some part of the states right now, gas is $2 something cents. That's nearly $5 Belize. Where we at right now, nearly $14. Do he have any intention of unkak? I'm talking about just these two items. Do he have any intention of passing unkak? Do he have any intention of bringing down the price of gas? Hell no. He does not have any intention of doing that. But what he did, he lied and continued to lie. I guess his belly must be full right now with lies. Right? What kind of a man that calls himself a man cannot keep up to his words? Who does that? But I tell you what, my people, you are all part and parcel of his action. Because if you didn't vote for him, he wouldn't be doing this thing to you. He wouldn't be doing it. But you're all part. You took your $100 already. Past and present, you took your $50, your $300 on the promise he promised to you guys. And not knowing that, whatever you guys had done affect a lot of people that did not vote for him. Affects us. Your deed, your action, your taking of that $50. You're waving and running with that flag for $50 or putting on that blue shirt or that red shirt, right? You're part and parcel of the things that is happening in this country. Right? You're part and parcel of what the teachers are going through right now. You're part and parcel of all the evil things he is doing in this country and getting away with it. You're part and parcel of the judiciary system, the way it's set, the court system, the police actions, the draconian laws they are passing. You are part and parcel of it. Okay? Then you're going to go back and cry. Oh, I shouldn't have me. The next day you voted for him, and the other day you start crying. I shouldn't have voted for him. I shouldn't have voted PUP. Gotta tell you these things because people need to tell you. You guys need to understand that your action affects the country. All those who jump up with Mr. Osborne Martinez in PG on that special election. When you have other Belizean banned from PG that was contesting that election. We want to see him. And this is the result. Because whatever you see playing out in the news right now with Mr. Osborne Martinez and the venom that's coming out of his mouth, we want to see nothing yet. All the venom that coming out of the Prime Minister's mouth, all the venom that's coming out of Nadia Garcia and her clan with that airport deal. If we never vote for these things, wouldn't have happened. Right? Why is it so hard for us to try something new? Try something new. Just because these new people no got that $100 to give you, or got that $50 to give you, or that weed to give you, that bad man to give you. What is wrong with you? And then when you go and cry, Oh, no, my son never get a scholarship, me this one never, and that the tuition and me promise to pay and this and that. Crying. You don't know that $50 you got is going to have to last you for the next 5 years. Is it the first time it's happening? Is it the first time? Hell no. But you keep doing the same crap over and over. The two-party system. You open one door, you close the next one. You open the next, it's the same thing. And tomorrow you cry. My people, wake up. See what's happening in other countries? Wake up and smell the coffee. What do you have to lose? You already have nothing. For over 2 centuries. Centuries now, you don't have nothing. And keep doing the same crap over and over and over again. How do you expect change will happen if you keep making the same mistake? The same mistake over and over and you expect any change? Anyway, back to you. I'll pass. I have nothing more to say. Leonard, go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your commentary, sir, your input, and your advisory for people and country at large. Uh, for tonight, I would like to continue where we left off last Friday in regards to what the PCC, or the People's uh, Constitution
Constitution
Commission,
Committee.
is undertaking in terms of making recommendations to eviscerate our constitution and or to alter, amend, or basically do a job that normally should be done by the House of Representatives, which they are empowered according to the Constitution to do. But they apparently have an agenda where they're going to hide behind the entity that they created under the name originally of the Constitution Reform Commission, which they turned around and renamed as the People's Constitution Commission, and who have submitted a report to the Prime Minister, a report that should have been based on the input from the general public, based on the education campaign that they should have done and have not completed, but they were under pressure to submit some kind of report. So they submitted a report, and it appears that what was submitted was not from the mass or the majority of the people in the country, much less including those who are abroad. In other words, those who are abroad have no rights or opportunity to cast a vote, to make a difference, and those who are at home are being hauled and pulled and bamboozled into believing the very members of the same committee, Constitution Commission, believing that their input would have been accepted as well, since they are also Belizeans. But apparently, as I had said before, the only purpose they had for them was to use them as a frack for hide under or for hide behind, because the emperor didn't have his clothes on and didn't want to be seen naked. So he recruited some commissioners or individuals, empowered them with the title of commissioners, went to the House, passed a act that, according to the Prime Minister and the Attorney General, was supposed to have trumped our Constitution, which led them not to abide by our Constitution because this PCC was in motion. And therefore, since we only could deal with one Constitution at a time, they decided to throw out the existing Constitution or ignore it and abide by what they thought or expected for this Constitution Commission to bring in as part of what would at some point in time in the future, according to them, become our new Constitution. But they were not willing to abide by the existing Constitution until that happens. Obviously, that's a travesty unto itself. We had been going down the various recommendations. We had gotten as far as recommendation I think it was 26. Let me just go back one more step. Yeah, we dealt with as far as 26, and I was hoping that I would be able to start on recommendation number 27, which they are proposing to amend Section 10 of our Constitution, Section 10, subsection 3. So they describe their amendment or proposals under item number 27.1, which is to add a proviso, they say, to Section 10, third, subsection 3 of the existing Constitution. I will not go and read that right now. I'll just go ahead and read the proviso that they were trying to add. And when I get another chance, because it's under this recommendation 27, they have quite a few items, okay? They have subsection 1, subsection 2, subsection 3, subsection 4. And I would like to go through all of them before opening up the Constitution and speak to these matters the way the Constitution under those particular sections address these matters. But first, I would like for you to get an idea what is it that they are planning to, or proposing. So I'll just deal with those first. It says under 27.1, add a proviso to Section 10, subsection 3, open quotation mark, which is actually the verbiage or the words that they're wanting to add. And it says, provided that no law shall restrict the movement of members of the National Assembly and members of cabinet in execution of their duties, including going to and from meetings. The existing constitution already have some provisions for that, but they want to put it clearer. That is that I think I mentioned, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, I mentioned where it stipulated that if a member is going to and from the House of Representatives and they have an accident on the highway or anywhere else, they can move on, go to their meeting, and then deal with those matters afterwards. And those who are regular listeners to our program may recall that particular reference that I had made. So it's not strange, though, that they're trying to attempt to enhance that or clarify further or provide, like they say, a proviso in the Constitution to exculpate themselves and or provide for their own ability to be able to violate the law and the rules for themselves. They make onerous laws for the people, but they exculpate themselves from those very laws. Now, you and I cannot have no accident on the road and say, well, we are in a hurry because we need to get to the hospital because one of our children or our parents or some other family member is in dire straits and we cannot stop to render help to the other people in the accident, and or we cannot stop to wait till police get there because you have to be on time for your house meeting, according to them. They put themselves above the law, provide for themselves to violate the very same law that all of us are supposed to be equal under, according to the Constitution. So they want to amend the Constitution to exculpate themselves, which is normally what they do anyhow. Most of the laws that they have made since they got into power over these 2 terms that we're in the second term have been about self-interest and about making onerous laws to penalize the general populace. I'll read on, like I said, I'm not going to read the Constitution yet on these matters. I'm just going to try and read the rest of what they have here. And under subsection 2, they say amend section 10(4) to apply to restrictions made under section 3, under section 10(3), which is that they just made a revision above in section 10(3), and now they're going to make, according to this next statement here under 4, to refer back to 3 and to enhance 3. In other words, to give 3 additional reasons and powers to lend legitimacy to illegal actions and illegal conduct. Amend section 10(4) to apply to restrictions made under section 10(3)(a), for example, and 10(3)(b. So they are further allowing themselves, additional leeway, basically. That's what that is about. Under subsection 3, it says amend section 10(4), which they have just amended just now from the previous statement that I just made. So all these in a series, they're amending what they're amending and amending what has been amended, and a constant series of amendment to get to a point where at the end of the day, the exculpation is total. It's what you call, in legal parlance, power grab, political power grab, as well as legal exculpation. Let me read the whole thing. Amend section 10(4), which we just spoke about above, and 10(5) by removing the reference to a tribunal. That is, that the courts will not have jurisdiction according to them in these regards, right? They're removing those powers that are granted under the powers of tribunals or courts. Bunch of rascal, man. Anyhow, to removing the reference to a tribunal and replacing it with a judge of the High Court sitting as a constitutional court. So there is no tribunal. They can get just about one court, or any High Court or Supreme Court, what we used to call before Supreme Court judge, who is favorable to their needs and efforts. And that particular amendment there, takes away the powers of the tribunal over this legislative person that they're making reference to, because it's not you and I that they're talking about, remember, okay? They're talking about members of the House, the legislators, and other members of cabinet. Insert new section 10(d), 10 subsection 6. That is, they're going to take out the whole of section 10(6), and they're going to include a new or proposing a new section 10(6), which would read, open quotation, any person found to be detained and his freedom of movement, restricted, his freedom of movement restricted, unreasonably, shall be awarded compensation, and such claim shall be, let me see what it says there. Such claims shall be expedited judiciously. That is to say, some of those people that are sitting in jail right now for many days, weeks, months, and years under this particular modification, it would seem like they're providing for them to be able to sue. That's already under our present constitution. In fact, it tells the government you can't just arrest nobody and put them under remand or keep them in court, and that you're supposed to give them a judicious hearing expeditiously. That's all under Section 6 of the Constitution. Okay? But they're pretending that they're making an offer now to clarify that and codify it. It's already codified in the Constitution. But let's go ahead, because remember what I told you from the very get-go. We're dealing with jackals who have an agenda and something else that they're trying to hide. And we need to go through the whole of this process in order to figure out what is it that they're really after at the end of the day, with all the amount of changes that they're trying to make, so that the Constitution will be more compliant to their needs and wants and expectations, so that they can govern us the way they really want to govern us. So that's the end of that particular recommendation there. But I need to read what the Constitution says about those. Okay? So let's go and pull up in the Constitution of Belize, Section 10, subsection 3. Let me just a minute. Section 10, subsection 3. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, I need to get to Section 10. I'm looking at Section. Just give me a second, please. Please bear with me. I'm at Section 7. I'm just pulling down to Section 10. I passed it just now. Okay, here we go. Section 10. Let me turn it sideways so I can read it a little better. Protection of freedom of movement. Now, under our existing Constitution, as I'm going to read here, our protection of freedom of movement has no restrictions in terms of derogating our ability to move around from one end of the country, north to south, east to west, okay, except under certain circumstances that provides for a war, a catastrophic earthquake, or catastrophic hurricane, or a major catastrophic and disaster scenario. Then the government can go and request from the Governor General the opportunity to declare a martial law and or a state of emergency. That we are aware of, we don't have any situation in our country right now that justifies martial law or state of emergency, because we have a police department that is empowered with state powers of policing to deal with just about any and every other circumstance that can be perceived or conceived under normal circumstance when there's not a major disaster. Okay? And that's what the police powers are supposed to be used for. Not to go out there and harass the civilians, beat up on the civilians, rough them up and do all manner of evil against them, and then turn around and accuse them of trying to resist your attempt to arrest them, when in fact you're not arresting them, but you're actually brutalizing them. But let's read the Section 10. We refer to, let's deal with section with subsection 1. A person shall not be deprived of his freedom of movement. That is to say, the right to move freely throughout Belize. That is what the Constitution of Belize states currently, as compared to what they were intimating earlier from the other thing that I told you that they were proposing. Like if they are giving us some rights or some opportunities or privileges that we have not had a right to. It's already enshrined in our current Constitution. But whenever you see jackals come to you with that kind of proposition, they're up to no good. They have something else in their back pocket that they want to throw at you, but they're trying to play a fast one with you and play some shell game. Let's read the rest of what our current Constitution says. The right to reside in any part of Belize, the right to enter Belize, the right to leave Belize, and immunity from expulsion from Belize. That is what Section 10.1 says currently in our Constitution. Somehow or another, They're trying to modify it now so that we lose some of the constitutional rights and powers that are already enshrined. They're trying to finagle with it to get to where they want to really go. Let's read section 2, subsection 2, I'm sorry. And I'm reading section 10 of the Belize Constitution, subsection 2. I read one just now. Any restrictions on a person's freedom of movement that is involved in his lawful detention shall not be held to be inconsistent with or in contravention of this particular section. That is to say, we are free to move around and do whatever we want, but if you commit a crime, or it is alleged that you have committed a crime, and you are put under arrest, then the police have the right to take you for remand. But there's a process that they have to go through. They just can't say, okay, we think you committed the crime, some kind of crime somebody alleged that you commit, or maybe we saw you commit, and therefore we can just grab you, execute some kind of judgment against you right there and then, okay, without having taken you to the court and have you tried, and then to be found guilty, and then be taken for your sentence, to spend your time in jail. But most of our police officers currently in Belize, well, I shouldn't even say most. Let me just restrict my statement and say too many of our police officers in Belize have this idea that because they wear the police uniform, they're entitled to commit crimes under the color of law against the civilians. They're entitled to grab any civilian, choke them, beat them up, kick their foot from underneath them. Three of them, they will work on one person. One person, they choke the man almost to death. Another one, they kick away foot from underneath, and so that the choking could take effect more quicker and stronger. Suppose the man dead. All three of them both supposed to go to jail, right? Then the other one, they beat up the man in kicker in and the puncher in the guts. The man has not been tried, and no judge ever tell them that because the man don't get tried, now they must act as executioners and carry out no sentence. In the instance where, for example, that young man that they take and slam in at the back of that car, that pickup truck that died, they don't have no right to do that. They should be charged for murder, because the damn well know what they were doing at the time when they pick up that young man and over the head and slam him down in at the back of that metal pickup and have his head hit that metal pickup. That is not an accident that just happened, or that maybe the young man was doing something that they were trying to counteract. They were just gratuitous in executing that young man and depriving the young man of his health and well-being. Even if the young man had committed a crime, it was for them to arrest him, put the bangles on him, take him into custody, and go through the proper procedures. And then apparently not much will come out of that, because we have seen that over and over. And they go to internal affairs and they get slapped on the wrist and they're right back again, to commit the same kind of crimes. Just the other day we had somebody where shoot the young man in his guts. Of course the young man misbehaved too, right? But prior to shooting that young man, he don't shoot somebody else too. Make I read this stuff at the segue again. I always get into that bad habit. I'm sorry about that. So it provides here under section 2 any restrictions of a person's freedom of movement that is involved in his lawful detention. That is lawful, not just detention gratuitously. For a police officer to come to you on the street and interact with you in a negative way as to try and get you arrested or trying to, they have to have what they call RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. Okay, they just can't invent something out of the back of their skull and say, well, that's the basis on which, because the law is not in the back of their skull. The many of them, when they study the law, it look to me like someone come out of police academy and they have no idea what the laws that they're supposed to be working under consist of. And they don't send them for additional training, apparently. They just give them additional promotions. And then later on, they go and do favors with whoever call, whoever boss man or politician calling, telling, go do this or do that for me. I'll read section 3, subsection 3 of the Constitution, because the proposal that they were referring to make recommendations in all these different aspects. Okay. Subsection subsection 3 says, nothing contained in or done under the authority of any law shall be held to be inconsistent with or in contravention of this section, to the extent that the law in question, the particular law that is being referred to, makes reasonable provisions. And then it goes on to say, for example, under paragraph A, for the imposition of restrictions on the movement of residents within Belize, of any person or any person's right to leave Belize, that are required in the interest of defense, public safety, or public order. And these three words, public defense, in the interest of defense, public safety, or public order, these three categories or phrases, the police always hide behind in order to exculpate or justify their misconduct. Okay? We have seen this over and over and over. And even when they go to court, sometimes the judges, they, lean in favor of the police just because they utter these particular phrases. It was to keep good order. That's why we have to beat him down or beat him, It was because they were resisting. It's because, they were misbehaving, or they were drinking, or they were drunk, or whatever. No police officer have the right to beat down nobody, whether they're in the drink or in drunk or whatever. Those people have a right. And if the people are drinking and staggering on the street, that's not mean that the police have to go and arrest them, unless they drive a vehicle, or unless they're on a bicycle, or something that will cause harm to somebody else. I'll leave that part and I'll read paragraph B of the same section, which says, okay. As in the case of imposition of restrictions on the movement of residents within Belize, or on the right to leave Belize, or persons generally, or any class of persons, in the interest of defense, public safety, or public order. Again, the same phrase comes up. They always hide behind those phrases. Public morality or public health, or in respect of the right to leave Belize, of securing compliance with any international obligations of the government, such as, for example, if there is a request for you from abroad under the treaties that they have for extradition, you as a Belizean can be extradited to the United States or to any other country that Belize government have an agreement with. But it is not to be expected that those countries will reciprocate, because we have never had that before. Okay? So they make these laws, they modify these laws, and at the end of the day, it's you, the Belizeans, that are put at the end of these onerous laws to suffer the consequences. If you can't get people extradited from a country where have an agreement with you, that means that agreement is not valid. It's counterproductive. And when they want somebody from your place, you're supposed to honor it. Don't get into signing such agreements with people that you have no leverage or control with or over. Um, I was about to make a statement that I think that I zip my lip and don't talk about it because it's not germane to the specific point that we're talking about, but it was just an example I was going to give. I'll just withhold it. Uh, let me skip the rest, the rest of section B and just read section C. The Constitution of Belize under section C, uh, section 10, subsection, what it was, let me go back to subsection 3 and paragraph C states as follows. For the imposition of restrictions by order of a court on the movement or restricting uh, or residence within Belize of any person or any person's rights to leave Belize either. There's a little more. Oops, I made it too small now. I can't see. Sorry. It goes on to say either in consequence of his having been found guilty of a criminal offense under a law or for the purpose of ensuring that he appears before a court at a later date for trial of such a criminal offense or for proceedings preliminary to trial or for proceedings relating to his extradition or lawful removal from Belize. Now, talking about lawful removal, the Constitution already under Section 10, subsection 1, told you that constitutionally your freedom to move should not be restricted, and it tells you the category under which it can be restricted. But those categories are not a willy-nilly scenario where just, okay, one minister could declare you and say, okay, well, you have been alleged to commit a crime in some other country and you run back to Belize as your country of refuge and homeland. And the other country wants you to be tried in their country, so therefore they will plead to your government to extradite you to the country of interest. We had a scenario with cases like those in the past. Anybody remember the Sewell brothers, whom an extradition order was submitted for them to be sent abroad? They were not sent abroad, and the extradition was not agreed to by the Attorney General at the time, even though there were other forces that were attempting to get them extradited. Had they been extradited, that would have probably been the last we'd have heard from them or about them. Only to find out afterwards, many years after they had not been extradited, that the case that they were supposed to go and answer for was bogus. But had they been extradited at the time, their freedom would have been gone. So when these ministers and other people take the liberty of trying to deprive you as a Belizean from your liberty and freedom to be able to transit Belize from one end to the other, or live in any part of Belize, or go into Belize or come out of Belize, and they want to abrogate those rights on some other technical basis, they are violating your constitutional fundamental rights. And that kind of matter should not be taken lightly, regardless of who is the minister that is attempting to do that. The supreme law of the land is paramount. Uh, so that's the end of that particular portion there. There's some additional bits and pieces here. Let me see. Um, okay. C, D. Oh, wow, there's quite a bit more. Okay, so there's another subsection that under paragraph D of the same section, which says for the imposition of restrictions on the freedom of movement of any person who is not a citizen of Belize. That is, that if somebody comes into the country and is not a citizen and they had committed a crime abroad, then I would guess the treaty would have the treaty obligation for extradition would then probably have a little better merit, right? Because the person had committed a crime abroad, and under Interpol, for example, those of you who understand and know what Interpol is and how they operate, there would be justifiable reason to say, okay, well, the person is not from Belize, so therefore, because they committed a crime and they are wanted to be adjudged for that crime and or to suffer the penalties or consequence of the crime that they committed, you can entertain an extradition on that basis, because then you're not taking away, or you're not violating the Constitution. The Constitution provides for that. But some people mix that up and conflate to say that when the Constitution is authorizing somebody to be extradited, it means that it is the same people that the Constitution is telling you should not be extradited, but that they don't have a right or any powers over you to stop you from going from one end to the other end of the country, or being in any part of the country, or coming in or going out of the country. Unless you have forfeited your rights, they just cannot willy-nilly take it away from you, is the point of the Constitution Declaration. Your rights are not supposed to be abridged unless you commit a crime, which then, by committing the crime, you're forfeiting your rights, and the judge has to pronounce you either guilty or innocent in order for you to continue exercising those rights. If you're innocent, or if you're found guilty, for then, because you have committed a crime and forfeited your right, then you're entitled to go to jail to pay the penalty for the crimes that you commit. But sometimes these people they put poor people, especially if you don't have a lawyer or you can't afford a lawyer, then put you through the ringers with some of these bastardized laws. They modify the Constitution here, there, and everywhere, like they're trying to do right now. And then later on, they're not the ones suffering the consequences because they're exculpating themselves while they're making these onerous laws against you, the civilians. That is not what we hired them for when we elect them to office. We elect them to office to look after our interests and our well-being and welfare, not to chance us. So Weda, I think I'm not going to read the rest of this for right now, so I'm just going to defer to you for any personal comment that you think might be helpful to the general public in terms of understanding what is it I'm trying to articulate. From someone who have been in the service as a police officer and a BDF officer as well, person as well, and whose experience may enlighten or elucidate some of us, general public out here. I yield to you, sir.
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome, Mr.
Thank you for showing one end of the stick, and then on the other end, first end and the second end.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have you showed us and you read about what our Constitution is saying. Our Constitution, the law of this land, right? Not Briseno Constitution or PUP Constitution or UDP Constitution. No, the Constitution of Belize. Now, then you show and you read about the interference, the modification, the changes that this administration is doing to our constitution makes no sense at all. For me,
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense. They're already enshrined in the constitution your inalienable rights, right?
Yes, sir.
They enshrine in the constitution what they can and cannot do to you, and how they can should do it and how they shouldn't do it. It's enshrined in our constitution. Then you have the flip side now that, and where you at, I'm Leonard, entry number 22 of the proposed changes.
27,
22,
sir.
no?
27.
27.
Yes, sir.
And we have 100 and how much? 30
I
some?
think it's 129.
129 changes.
So we got at least another 100 to go.
Yeah. So I'm just saying this to say that it makes no sense to me, right? That what these people are trying to do and will do to our constitution.
But Mr. Wade, nobody ever asked them to do that, which was the problem. They just decided they're going to
So
do that and force us to go along with it.
so
Are
my
you
thing is, so my thing is, what does Mr. Briceño really want to do with our constitution and his minions? What does he want to do? And let us not forget the people he draw into his agenda.
Mhm. Mhm.
The people that he draws in to accomplish his agenda. As for me, like I say again, Leonard, it makes no sense, right? I just hope that in due time, and not too long from now, that he will have the balls and the guts to come to the Belizean people and actually tell him what this is what I really want to do with the Constitution. And you will see it, my people, those of us who aren't that stupid, those of us who aren't that doesn't have talent, those of us who, can think sane and think right from wrong. We will see it, and some of us already seeing where this PUP government is taking our constitution, right? Some of us already see the changes, and we know the reason why. Some of us knows the reason why he's doing this. Because the things that he wants to accomplish, he cannot do it because of this present constitution. Some of the items is blocking him from doing what he really wants to do. So what he does, he gets his handful of people to do whatever and all the dirtiness and things, and then he will come to the people saying, "What? This is what is going to happen." Because why? The chairman came with this report, and we educated the entire nation and even the diaspora, right? And everybody is on track. And
Lies. Outright lies.
right. And some of us know, my people at home here, some of us know that the handful of little people that attended the so-called educational mission that this PUP government had set out to do, educating the nation of your constitution, right? And this is what he's going to say. Well, after all this that had happened, this is the finale, right? Then he's going to enshrine that in the Constitution, and then he will get to do what he wants to do. And I will not, it will come to light. I will not jump ahead of Leonard, because gradually we will see, he will read out, and then you will see any right thinking Belizean will see what this man is up to. But like again I say, He cannot do it with our present constitution, the way it's worded and the way it's set out. He cannot. Those who want to believe me can believe me. Those who want to turn a deaf ear, or that's a matter for them, right? So he's going to achieve his agenda, right? He's going to achieve that
If
in
we let him,
bastardizing.
Mr. Wade, which is why we're trying to do this education process. The people are the only one that can save and help the people.
Yes.
Only the people could help the people in this particular scenario.
Yes. When he presented his final finale, he will say, well, the people had spoken. The people had spoken. That is exactly what he's going to say. Read my lips.
That's why they changed the name from Constitution Reform Commission to People, because they want to hide behind the people. Are you back, sir?
You never hear none of these minions, his followers within in that house.
Man.
His followers in that house, you know, you have a leader and and some followers. All the followers had never come and speak out against. You don't hear none of them speak out against touching our constitution. They're all in line. You see when the ants marching? That's exactly what is going on in when you see them sit in the house. All those 31 follow the leader. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have anything to say against? No, we don't have anything to say about bastardizing our constitution. Keep doing what you're doing. We are with you. So sad. And again, Leonard, thanks for showing the talking about what is in our constitution as it is today and what they are trying to put in. Stuff it, you know, like when your belly done full and then they stuff you up with some. What you think will happen?
Some more turkey. Turkey to come out of your mouth, out your ears.
I'm the chairman, Mr. Chanona. I keep saying his name because he is the final man here.
He knows his assignment. That's why he don't care what the other 10 members, then the commission members, then they say.
There you go. Say no more. Thank you. Back to you.
You're welcome, Mr. Wade. Thank you for your contribution tonight, too, sir. In regards to this particular recommendation 27, I had not read everything from the Belize Constitution that relates to it, nor did I read the whole of the recommendation in terms of what all, because what they put up there is just the bits and pieces that they want to, in some instances, they want to change what's already existing for what they're putting up. They're not redoing the whole thing so that anybody could grab it and read it for themselves all the way from beginning to end.
And another thing, Mr. Leonard, don't let us forget. Don't let us not forget the word repeal and replace.
Exactly.
Repeal, and I want that to echo in the minds of the Belizean people. Repeal and replace. Good. I'll leave you with that.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Wade. And as I was saying earlier, I would like for them to say, because in their preface to the whole of this process, they have a little preface in the beginning, in the first part of it. They're saying that they had, I think, 6,000 and something ideas that they received from the people. Now, mind you, from what I could tell, they had probably 3 or 4 meetings in Belize. They had a meeting in Orange Walk. They had one in Corozal that I remember. They had one, I don't know if they went to, I think they had one in PG, and they must have had another one in Cayo and one in Because Stan Creek, Dangriga, and they probably had one in Belmopan. But I would like to find out or ask who were the proponents of this particular recommendation number 27, because it has to be a lawyer or a legal-minded person who understand what they were talking about in the first place to be able to dissect that particular law and make this particular proposal to excise certain parts and put in these parts. It wasn't just a regular campesino or a regular person, Joe Blow off the street. Okay, it wasn't a member of the Maya community that came up with this. It wasn't a member of the Garina community that came up with this. It wasn't a member of the Creole community that came up with this. It wasn't a member of the Mestizo community that came up with this. It wasn't a member of any of the other ethnic groups in our country that came up with something like this. As a recommendation in order to facilitate, help, and or make it easier on our population or on the people that they were representing. This is one of those that we have said to you guys came out of the back pocket of some legal, well-trained mind who's trying to bamboozle the overall process that most other people would not recognize, understand. But at the end of the day, if it ever becomes law, they will have to deal with the consequences and suffer the consequences of it. Why couldn't that particular individual realize that as much as they are trying to change or put these new things in there, they were taken away from what already existed in there that empowered us with the level of freedom that we have been enjoying from the time we had our first constitution and long before then, as a matter of fact. That is just today date that whoever put this out on the back pocket will give us the freedom that they think we deserve rather than the one that we currently have. Has to be a slickster, okay? Somebody who thinks that we would not have caught up on it, we would not have recognized it for what it really was. There's a lot more to be read in that particular section, but I don't think I want to. There's so much more that's left to be dealt with, right? I'd rather move on a little bit rather than just get bogged down and only end up to do one for tonight. Because so far we only done one. And the program is almost finished. We only have what, another 10, 15 minutes to go. You imagine how many months it's going to take us to get to the end of this process? And by the time we get to the end, people might forget where we started from. Because at the end of the day, all of us are not lawyers or legally trained. So if we never knew the Constitution as it were before, how much more easier it will be and how much less time we should consume to learn it now and learn the changes that they want to make and collate those changes and understand the difference so that we can figure out whether or not we want what they are trying to push down our throat. We're in a sad state of affairs, but giving up is not an option, so we'll move on and do the best we can. As I said, I will not pursue that particular recommendation any further. I'll just let that be, and I'll try and go back to the recommendations that they were proposing, and then let's see what I can do. So that was 27. Let's go to 28. Recommendation number 28. Expand Section 11 of the Constitution. So just now they had us dealing with the Section 10 of the Constitution. Now they're going to propose some expansion to Section 11 of the Constitution. Now, I'll leave the reading of Section 11 until we get through dealing with the proposals, right? So that we can see what the proposals are saying under recommendation number 28. And then we'll go back and read our Section 11 from the Constitution of Belize. Hopefully, we'll have enough time to do that tonight. Okay, 28, okay. I'm just trying to size up how much material. Okay, it's not too long. It's not too long, so let's get into it. Recommendation 28 says expand section 11, and it reads like this: strengthen and expand the protection of freedom of conscience. I'm laughing. I'm laughing. I don't know if anybody realizes or figure out why I'm having to laugh just by reading that little part there. The protection of freedom of conscience. These guys have no conscience to start with. How the hell they gonna propose how to expand our freedom of conscience? Huh? As onerous as they have been with the kind of laws that they have been making, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they're having a change of heart. That's why I'm laughing. Um, Let me read the thing over again. Strengthen and expand protections of freedom of conscience. It's a tall order, my brother. By defining freedom, oh man, by defining freedom of conscience to include cultural identity and languages as follows. Uh, I wonder if anybody is getting. I mean, we are dealing with serious matters, right? So I shouldn't be laughing while trying to make a presentation of it. Well, I mean, I wonder if anybody really realized the googly gap that these jokers are talking about or trying to articulate. You know, they're talking about providing for freedom of conscience, while at the same time they're talking about our new identity. Did anybody remember that phrase? Is that it? When I turn over to you in a couple of minutes, sir, I want you to remember that part with the new identity. Okay, and what these people are talking here about freedom of conscience, and for them to, let me just finish with the thing. I'm coming to you right now, Mr. Away, because it shouldn't take long and more time is running, right? So let me just say, under the same recommendation number 28, it says, the interpretation of freedom of conscience shall include, for example, the personal freedoms to, paragraph I, adopt, change, or promote and or preserve one's cultural identity, language, and beliefs, religion or spiritual, it should be spirituality or whatever, but there's just a spiritual. That already there is a mouthful, but unto itself does not describe what is freedom of conscience. Freedom of conscience is something universal to all human beings, regardless of where religion you are or non-religion, regardless of where race you are or non-race. Well, of course, you have to be some kind of race if you're a human being. No? That's how they categorize us. But in general, what they're trying to address here is something far beyond their level of comprehension, to the point where they're not even defining it correctly. So they're just playing games with words. Our Constitution already tell us we have freedom of conscience. Anything that relates to the human consciousness or conscience is under that particular category. They're going to try and define it now. If you're a mestizo or if you're a Creole, well, of course, the Creoles are not part of the Constitutional Reform Commission or the PCC, the People's Constitution Commission. Why? Because the Prime Minister told us so. We're a minority, and therefore we don't have to worry about being about participating in the process as a specific ethnic group. But here they're talking googly gawk about maybe not us Creoles having that right, but others having that right. A constitution is supposed to be for everybody. But our Prime Minister going to look to us in our face on the TV and tell us, make a segue on the time they go, and I need to come to Mr. Wade, and I'm almost at the quitting time. Let me just, man, it's sad. We're in a sad state of affairs. Um, okay, I read the first one, and there's quite a few more. Um, I don't know if I should. I'll try and finish it up. Let's make an attempt. We're probably going to add another 5 minutes to the program. So we just can't truncate it here and then come back next week at halfway. It just wouldn't make sense. So let's try and make an attempt. For example, under the second paragraph, that says manifest and to manifest and propagate one's belief in teaching, practices, and observances. I guess they're talking about the indigenous community in this particular regards. At least that's what I'm interpreting them to be attempting to do. And act in accordance with the dictates of one's conscience. And the last one, not be compelled to violate one's conscience or be subject to infringements of one's conscience. Our current constitution speaks to all those things already. But according to them, they are now granting us these rights. Okay? And their way of specifying these rights under the misguided category of freedom of conscience, to them, it's like they're doing us a favor. To get rid of the present constitution that already account for all those rights and have those things enshrined in there, for what they are now trying to classify it as being. Poor people. I think we're going to stop at that 28 right now, but I still need to go and deal with how the Constitution of Belize relates to this matter. So I need to take another minute or so quickly, and then I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Wade. Just give me a sec. Let's get this. Section 11 of the Constitution. There it is. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from the Constitution of Belize, Section 11, which is the part that they refer to. And let's hear what the Constitution says in regards to the very same things that they're proposing to amend or make changes of. Provisions of freedom of conscience. Section 11, subsection 1 of the Belize Constitution reads as follows. Except with his own consent. You see how much more powerful this Constitution that we currently have speaks to the matters that they were trying to address just now with their googling up. Except with your consent. Okay? So you're the ultimate arbiter of your own freedom of conscience. Not what the government says or what they say or what I say. Each individual as a sentient entity, being a human being, have vested in that individual the right and the authority to self-proclaim their own freedom of conscience. That's what our Constitution right now, accommodates. Except with his own consent, a person shall not be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom of conscience. That is, for example, it has a comma there, and it says, including freedom of thought and of religion, freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in a community with others, and both in public and in private, to manifest and propagate his religion or belief in worshiping, teaching, practicing, and observance. That is Section 11, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Belize. You see how much more powerful that statement is there, and how much more clearer our constitutional rights are being enshrined in our Constitution as regards to the comparison of what they are proposing there right now to change what we have for what they are now recommending. Bunch of jackals. Anyhow, I'll read subsection 2. Yeah, okay. Let me see how many sections it has. 5. Okay, it has 5 sections, 6 sections altogether, and we can't cover them all. So I'll just read the second part, subsection 2, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Wade for the closing and his observation on these matters. Subsection 2 reads as follows: except with his own consent, or if he is or she is a person under the age of 18 years. Remember, before we spoke about what constitutes a minor, and they were trying to classify what would be a minor or how to classify what, you know, the matter is already dealt with here in the Constitution, like I had pointed out then. If only they had taken the chance to read it. But they don't want to read nothing. They just want to forget that this Constitution exists, pretend that they have no responsibility to follow it or be guided by it, and just do what the devils they want to do anyhow. We're dealing with rascals and scofflaws. But let me also and finish read up the part of the stuff. Except with his or her own consent, or if he or she is a person under the age of 18 years, the consent of his parent or guardian, a person attending any place of education, detained in any prison or corrective institutions, serving in a naval, military, or air force shall not be required to receive religious institutions or to take part in or attend any religious ceremonies, observance, if that instruction or ceremony or observances relates relates to a religion which is not his own. That is that under freedom of conscience, you have a right to not be forced to belong to any particular religion other than what you subscribe to and whatever is it that is within your mind. It's a freedom of conscience. It comes from within you, not from what somebody else dictates to you. But I'll leave that part for right now. Like I said, that's I read 1 and 2 of what we currently have as our constitution, and there's subsection 3 and subsection 4, 5, and 6. But we can't cover them all or deal with them. So I'll just break the program for right now and turn over to Mr. Wade for his elucidation in these regards. Thank you very much again, Mr. Wade. You, sir.
Thank you, Leonard.
You're welcome.
Like you and I have always says that from inception we have seen that, and we know that there is nothing wrong with our constitution. It's it's there to protect us, to protect the nation, protect its people. Um, voice for our people, um, so that they interpret the Constitution and do right. That's by people through our Constitution, because that's the law of our land, and we see nothing wrong with it. But then I say that they're trying now to inject certain things in our Constitution and change it so that they get away with a lot of things that they had done. Because once they pass certain laws, and it goes to the court, it's law. when the judge said, well, the law is saying that all the SOEs that they have passed, you cannot take them to court for it, because it's done and done with. And we go back from 2018, so you don't want to try to sue the government. No, there are laws in here now in the new constitution that you cannot take the government to court. And
Mhm.
all those 17 people that the law said that the government will not pay you, right? So these are the kind of things that these people are interjecting to cover up
The
the
wrongdoing.
wrongs, the
Mhm.
wrongdoings, my
Mhm.
people, right?
Yes, past
And
laws.
yes, they're trying to pass laws because of the agendas they have. The agendas they have for the people and nation, right? So they are already enshrining in our constitution, right? The things that they want to do to us. So you cannot come for redress and you cannot do what you want to do for 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 um um for clarity or for revenge or for what rightfully you deserve. No, they are making laws to stop all that, right? And most see they are not satisfied that these people, my people, quickly, these people already have powers to change the law, right? They have powers to amend the law. Why tamper with our constitution? That's my thing. So if by now the people and nation cannot see through this Briseño administration, and with the help of the opposition, right? Because they are no better. It's the
Hmm.
same thing, right? Who knows? They would have probably been doing worse. Who knows? I'm just saying. That's just my observation of this two-party system that has governed us and have us where we are today, right? Do they have any good intention for the poor and less fortunate and the nation? No. All they're looking for is power, greed, and more power and more power. That's all they're looking for. And look who prosper when a PUP government in power. Look who prosper to every time. Look at this lady Nadia Garcia. That's just one person. I'm just saying. To every time this People's United Party in power, she prospered. I just that's not one person. There are many, 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 many more, right? That the same people continue to prosper on the backs of the taxpayers and the poor people, our nation. Same as the UDP. When they are in power, there's only certain people that prosper, that gains the wealth, that connives, that steals and get away with it, do bad things, evil things, and get away with it. Same as the People's United Party. No difference. No difference. So, if by now my people and nation on the diaspora and around the world, one cannot see, these the intention of this government that we have now, this PUP government. If you cannot see their intention and you cannot see through the things that they are doing leading up to their agenda, the way they are behaving, the things that they say and the things they do, with no accountability, don't give a damn. You cannot see that. So sad. I'm sorry for you, your kids, your grandkids, and the nation. Because nothing good is going to come out of this PUP agenda. Don't talk about the UDP, where right, it's two-party system, right? Nothing good is going to come out of that in terms of a prospering nation. Nation, not a prospering few. I'm talking a prospering nation and people, right? Nothing good is going to come out. The people is not going to prosper, and the nation is not going to prosper. Who is going to prosper? Just a few within their circle. So In a sense of time, Leonard, I pass it back to you, and it's always a pleasure to sit in your company. And I just hope that the items that you had shown, the Constitution and the proposition, the proposed item that the PUP is proposing in terms of changing our Constitution, and you're reading the law of our land, and if the people cannot do the comparison, Leonard, if they cannot do the comparison as to where we're at now, number 28, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, so sad. It's worse. The worst is yet to come. The worst is yet to come. Hopefully, Leonard, that we live to see our prediction comes true. And that note, thanks to those who tune in and watch us and will watch us later. Thanks for their continuous support. It's always a pleasure to sit here in your company, Leonard.
Thank you very much again, Mr. Wade. It's always a pleasure of mine also to sit with you on these programs. And I just want to say that I would like to apologize, ask that you and the other people who normally listen to regular programs would accept my apology because again I was not able to launch um, another part of the. I tried quite a bit
Yeah, I
while Mr.
noticed.
Wade
Yeah,
was, but it
I
just
noticed.
so
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to find a way for
get
to
it out. This
get
is
it
all
out,
right.
you know. But for right now, I'm just
My
apologizing and
apology too, because
ask for the,
I usually share Leonard to my audience, right? And tonight I couldn't have shared.
yes, sir.
So
I'll make sure as soon as the program is finished that I do the manual sharing.
thank you.
Thank you very much, too, sir, and God bless Belize and Belizeans at home and abroad. This was the 304th
Fourth.
Belizean Affairs program, and I can tell you as we go along, we're going to come up with some very interesting pieces of this proposal that these people are making. And then you guys listening to the program will be able to see for yourself why is it that we've been taking up this doing this undertaking because
Leonard, they're gonna
they
leave
have
with
been
their mouth
saying,
open. They're gonna leave
yeah,
with their mouth open. Wow. Right?
and they will be
Go
able to
ahead.
say, they will be able to say for themselves, Mr. Wade,
Yes,
that we
yes.
told them so.
We
We
told
won't
them
have to
so.
see it ourselves. Thank you very much again, Belize and
Good.
Belizeans at home and abroad, and wish you the best. God bless until Wednesday, when Mr. Wade will be the primary chairman for the night.
Thank
Good night
you.
and goodbye.